Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 247 of Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. The question is opportunity or maturity? What would you prefer to harvest? That's the question that I think we all want to know. I think the ultimate answer, if we were to be honest with ourselves, is we want both. We want to be able to have the opportunity, a lot of opportunity, to be able to hunt mature animals. And the reality is that's just not the case anymore. There's a reduced amount of habitat out there. Animals are being condensed into tighter and tighter areas. We're fragmenting habitat even more. Populations are being reduced, and there's a lot of hunters on the landscape. And hunting is now big business. And so things are changing. I had a conversation the other day with a guy that he was upset. He shot a 2-point mule deer right on the Utah Wyoming border. He was in Utah and he was dragging this 2-point back to his truck. And he happened to look over on the Wyoming side, which was just a few hundred yards away. And he saw a 4-point buck just walking across. And he was just mad that Utah isn't doing the same as Wyoming. And so it sparked this conversation about what he wanted. And ultimately, he decided that he wanted an opportunity to kill a big mature deer every year. I told him that he could have that opportunity. He just had to pay 6, 7, 8 grand a year. And he told me that was garbage, that wildlife managers, biologists should manage for opportunity as well as maturity. And I said, that's not possible. I went on to have a conversation with him that was very interesting. But I think a lot of hunters that I've talked to in the past fall into this group of they want it all. And the reality is, in today's situation, with all the different things going on, that's just not possible. We have the habitat problems, we have the population problems, we have fragmentation, we have a lot more people, and hunting is now big business. Everybody's cashing in on the big business of hunting, whether it's offering up their lands for trespass tickets or starting up their own lodges or guiding services or bringing people onto their property and developing water. There's all these different things, all these competing opinions for what should be going on. So today we're talking about managing for opportunity versus maturity. So, what category do you fall in? That's the good question. What category do you see yourself in? Because based upon where you are will determine how you feel about this topic. Um, Opportunity versus maturity for me can be summed up in a couple of different ways. When we are looking at units and areas of a state, some of these areas for me are automatically just put into the category of unlimited tags or over the counter tags or general season, however you term it, just because of where they sit. Are they sitting near major agricultural areas? Are they sitting near high urban areas? Is there going to be a high amount of human conflict? And if that's the case, the last thing the state wants to do is have a massive depredation program where they are going out and hazing animals constantly and having these fights. So what they go out and do typically is these areas, they bring down the population. They use over the counter. You're going to start instituting female, whether it's cow hunts or doe hunts, and you're going to start to reduce that overall population to bring them down. Now, habitat quality and everything may say your population can be a lot higher, but if you have a high population or a population of animals coming into an urban area every night, causing conflict, causing safety concerns, just wreaking havoc, the public is not going to tolerate a massive population. And so you're going to have to work and do your best to reduce that overall population just to reduce the amount of human conflict. That's reality of wildlife management. There are areas that can tolerate a lot more animals, but socially, the social carrying capacity has been reached, and they're just not able to get that population there. So when I look at these areas near urban areas, I know in my mind that those are probably not going to have the most animals. But what's interesting that I'm seeing is some of the biggest and mature bucks, at least here in Utah, are near some of these urban areas. They are living near the golf courses. They are living near the faces, like on the Wasatch Front. They're living right on the face of these cities. They're coming down into these yards and then they're heading back up. Some of the biggest bucks I've seen taken in the state have been within a mile or 2 miles of these urban areas, which is really interesting. But overall, wildlife agencies are going to reduce. Now, the limited entry areas is different because you can have a higher social carrying capacity and way more tolerance. Now, you're going to have some ag guys, some ranchers that are going to be affected, but the overall voice is going to drown those out. And so they're going to want more animals. Depredation's a little easier to deal with because you're dealing with fewer people. And ranchers, often based upon the voice of the people, are told to just pound sand and deal with the issue. So you can carry more animals the further away from urban areas as long as the habitat is there and can carry it. When you are doing these limited entry areas, the question again still becomes maturity versus opportunity because you can vary it. So let's say your buck units, your general over the season counter tags are going to carry between 18 and 20 bucks for every 100 does. Well, you can start taking these limited entry units and you can increase it and you can move it up to 30 bucks for every 100 does, or another unit you're between 35 and 40 bucks for every 100 does. And so depending on what you're going for, you can still manage for a little bit of opportunity and maturity. The higher you get, the more mature animals you're going to have, the less opportunity you're going to have. Same thing with elk. They're managing for an age class. If your general over the counter age class is roughly 3.5 years old, you're going to start looking at like the San Juans in Utah, one of the prime units. They're managing between 7 to 8 years old. I think their average is 7.8 or something like that. But you're reducing the overall opportunity. So you can still have a limited entry unit. There's one near me where they're managing for 4 to 5 year old. No, yeah, 4.5 to 5.5 year old animal. And that's what they're shooting for. And so you're offering a little bit more opportunity than those really premium limited entry units, but you're still offering maturity as well. And it depends. There's no easy answer on what you're going to do. And the states, depending on how they want to implement certain things, they're going to get a lot of pushback. There are states out there that are saying we need a lot less limited entry units and we need a lot more opportunity for our people. And there are other states that are saying, look at that unit in that other state and look at the big bulls they're getting out there. I want a chance for a 400-inch or a 390 bull versus the one where they're getting what they would call a raghorn, depending on your unit, where they're shooting a 300-inch or a 325 and they want a more mature animal. So states are being pressured one way or the other. Utah's saying we have a lot of limited entry, but maybe it'd be nice to have more opportunity like Montana. And so you're having states that are now seeing other states do things and people within those states that are traveling and they're saying, man, I wish we could do it like this, or I wish we could do it like that. And there's pros and cons to each. And no solution is going to be perfect and nothing's going to be easy. I think the days for easy and the perfect solution have long since passed because there's so many people, so much hunting going on, so much pressure, so much competing for the different recreational opportunities that you now have to take into consideration all those different factors that they probably didn't have to before. Personally, um, I guess I think I would like more opportunity. This year would have been my boy's first year to hunt. We put in for all these tags and he didn't draw. I didn't draw. We didn't have that opportunity. I guess I would like him to have that opportunity because The state of Utah has a lot of limited entry units, but it's really difficult to draw. You're taking sometimes 16, 18, 19 points, and that's a lot of points to be sitting around waiting and building. So if I had a chance to harvest a raghorn every year versus a 400-inch bull, I'd probably harvest a raghorn. If I drew a limited entry tag in one of these premium units, I'm not the type of person, I'm not what you would call a horn hunter. So I would be more likely than not that if I saw a good mature bull, I would probably harvest it, whether it was the biggest one in the unit. I'm not going to pay people hundreds of dollars to scout an animal for me. I would just find one that was legal and probably go after it. So even if I save up all 19 points and go into an area and harvest, I could care less whether I harvest the biggest animal on the landscape. That's just me personally. Having dealt with depredation and wildlife enough to know that I've seen the conflict that antlers bring, and I just don't care. And I would like an opportunity for my boy as well to be able to go out and harvest an animal every year. Now, opportunity, when you're looking at that way, could increase the amount of people on a landscape. So when you start looking at opportunity, then you start having to look at seasons and shorter seasons, multiple short seasons, and moving the hunts around based upon timing, based upon the amount of people, and all those things go into play. But how do you guys feel about maturity versus overall opportunity? That's the question. Me, I just kind of float through space. I don't really know if I have an opinion. I'm married, so my opinion largely falls on deaf ears. That's why I do a podcast, because I talk to myself and then some people listen. But let me know what you guys think. Opportunity versus maturity. And let me know also if you think it's possible to do both. And I need to know the situation that you would find it possible. All right. Have a great day. Stay wild.